Hello, everyone. I'm Charles Whitfield, and this is my technical blog for week 6 of DBC's Phase 0. I did a tech blog for week 5 in video format, and I really enjoyed it. So even though I'm now in San Francisco with very little furniture, I'm actually kneeling on the floor right now using a counter as a desk and using borrowed internet. I enjoyed it last week. I got some positive feedback. So even though you might say, hey, Charles, these are not really ideal conditions for a video blog, I'm going to proceed. So this week we're covering class methods. What is a class method? How can we use a class method? And when would you use a class method? So class methods are methods that are called on the class itself rather than on an object in the class, which is kind of weird when you think about it a little bit, because it seems like classes are separate from the objects that they contain, and they are. But since this is Ruby, this is object-oriented programming, everything is an object, even, wow, my ears look really big with this new haircut. Everything is an object, even the class is also an object, so it can have methods called on itself. So to further flesh this out, we're going to first create a class and have some regular instance variable and instance methods, and then we're going to show that and contrast it with a class method for the same class. So without further ado, we will create a class called dog. Now, class dog is going to contain information about, I guess, dogs who live in a kennel. So we'll have initialize. Well, maybe they don't live in a kennel. It doesn't really matter where they live, but we'll have the name of the dog, and we'll have the weight of the dog in kilograms. And we'll have @name equals name and @kilos equals kilos. And we're also going to do attribute accessor, both of these attributes, just so that we can call them without all the methods and find out the kilos without making a special separate method for the name with actual accessor. And then we'll also, so we have initialize. So each dog has a name, each dog has a weight in kilos. Next, we're going to make a method called bark, which will be an instance method. Each dog will be able to bark. So what does bark do? Bark will put a bark that will vary based on the weight of the dog. So a dog that weighs 40 kilos will bark 4 times, and a lighter dog will bark fewer times. So, okay, that's a very simple class, and it's complete now. We've got everything that we need to start making instances of this class. So we'll have a dog named Rover, and we'll initialize him with his name, Rover, and his weight, which will be 30 pounds, or 30 kilos, I should say. And then we'll have a dog named Tex, whose name is Tex, obviously, and whose weight is 40 kilos. So then we will call tex.bark and rover.bark, and we will see, whoops, expecting keyword end. What do we got here? What have I done? This is not the same error that I had last time where I over-ended myself. Or is it? going on here? Wait a minute. I didn't have the multiplier. Does that change things? Uninitialized constant rover. These need to be strings. Wow, we had all sorts of problems in this stage here. Sorry, everyone. Okay, there we go. So now Tex can bark 4 times because he weighs 40 kilograms, and Rover can bark 3 times because he weighs 30 kilograms. Sorry for all those hiccups. And now let's also do, let's put tex.kilos. So tex has the method kilos, which shows his weight in kilos, which is 40 kilograms. Rover has the same method. We could also get their names, use kind of same syntax here. So a class method in this instance would be something that you would call on class dog, on tex, or on rover. These are instance methods, right? So we can call rover.bark, but we can't call dog.bark. So how do we define, what does a class variable look like? It looks like this. We can do self dot, well, we've got to define def self dot class method name end. And then here I have maybe dog dot class method name, right? So why would we want to use this? We want to use this for instances where, or situations, I should say, where you need to do something that doesn't belong to a single member of the class, but is still related to the class. Well-grounded just use the example of a ticket class, like for tickets to a movie, having a class method to find the most expensive ticket. So it's not related to a single ticket, it's related to all the tickets in the ticket class. So you'd have ticket dot most expensive rather than theater ticket 1 dot most expensive, because theater ticket 1 only knows its own price. Ticket class can find out all the prices and compare them. And that makes sense for something broader than a single instance to do. What we're going to do is kind of somewhat unoriginally, we're going to define self.heaviest, which will, and take the argument all the dog look at, and we're going to compare potentially an infinite number, I guess, of dogs, and find out who is the heaviest. Now, this doesn't belong with Rover because Rover doesn't know Tex's weight, and this doesn't belong with Tex because Tex doesn't know Rover's weight. We have to, and it doesn't make sense for the dogs to compare each other. The class will compare the different members of itself. So we'll have weight equals 0. That default weight. And then for dog in dogs, if dog.kilos, and see we're finding out the weight of each dog, is greater than weight, because of course it's initialized to 0, then weight is set to dog.kilos. So every time we find a new heavier dog, we will reset the weight. And I've got a typo there. At least I caught it before the error message this time. Although no promises for the next typo. And then we'll end the for loop and say, then we'll return dog.kilos if dog.kilos equals weight. So this will return the weight of the dog that marked as the heaviest dog by setting its weight to weight. This is not a neat version of the heaviest method. Well-grounded Rubyist, something much simpler, more concise, and I tested it with this method and it works as well in dog's weight instead of price for tickets, but I wanted to just show it a little bit more explicitly as something that I actually understood rather than just copy pasting from well-grounded Rubyist. So here's the method for heaviest dogs, and we can test it by, let's see, dog.heaviest. Well, this will be, I guess, our driver test code. Dog.heaviest of Rover and Tex should be equal to, who's the heaviest? It's Tex. How much does he weigh? 40 kilograms. So it should return 40. So if we got this right, and I can't make any guarantees that I have got it right, we will get just true from this test code. Let's see. Yes, okay, so we got true. So what we did here was we got the dog class, which is itself an object of the class, to measure all of the dogs in its input, in its arguments here, and return us the weight of the heaviest one, which is 40, which is Tex's weight. We could also, I think, let's do a little experiment here. I haven't pre-tested this. We could try dog.name if dog kilos is equal to weight. So let's just print that and see what we get. And hopefully we won't get some horrendous error message that'll take me 5 minutes of awkward screen silence to figure out. Okay, so we printed Tex from dog.heaviest. We return the name of the heaviest dog. The name of the heaviest dog is Tex. So that is how we use class methods. We want to use them when it doesn't make sense for a single member of the class to do the operation, but it still belongs to the class in general. Most expensive tickets, heaviest dog in the dog class. There's myriad other examples that might not be direct number comparisons. It might be something else, like, I guess, printing a list of all the dogs in the kennel or something like that. But I hope that this has been a relatively easy to understand breakdown of how class methods work in general and how they're called and built. So I'll see you guys next time.